What do you think about the Beastie Boys having been kidnapped by Sasquatch all these years?
Oh, wow. I did not realize that. I did not realize there were Sasquatches.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Good to see you.
We've got Ari the Rugged Man on the show coming up in just a minute. And later on in the show, we've got a listener-requested album review, Graduation by Kanye West. Is it Sweeps Week? This is a loaded show.
Yeah, man.
We are not pulling any punches.
You know, originally, if we weren't going to be able to get our guest this week, we were going to listen to the new Taylor Swift album. You know, we were going to have a little Kanye versus Taylor action, you know, for the clicks.
Are we still planning on doing that, or are we just going to scrap that?
You know, honestly, like, so you had said, like, there's no need to review it. It's just really good. And then I listened to it and I was just like, oh my God, there's no need to review this. This is just really good.
It is just really good, though.
Like, it's just a beautiful piece of music. Like, it's one of those, it really is a moment. Like, I've only known Taylor Swift as, like, you know, the person that I watched, like, those Todd in the Shadows videos, you know, and he breaks it down. And it's like, oh yeah, like, her videos, like, you know, her music's really, like, pop stuff. And then I listened to this album and I'm like, oh my God, like, I had, like, all those feelings, you know, that you get from, I don't know, like, Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist and Scott Pilgrim, you know, indie movies type of soundtrack. Like, I was feeling that, you know, that Sixpence None the Richer, you know, kiss me, like, all that aesthetic was just being, like, jet streamed into my heart through this music. And I was like, okay. Like, I'm here for that.
I watched, out of curiosity, the Needle Drop video on the album. I was just curious what Fantano had to say about it. And there were a couple tracks, including Cardigan, which is, at the time of recording, the number one song on the Billboard chart. And he said, like, this is the most paint-by-numbers, like, copied and pasted Lana Del Rey sounding imitation I've ever heard. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, good thing I never really cared for Lana Del Rey, so I don't really care if it's a ripoff or not.
When it's ripping off someone that you don't care about, it's like, I mean, then, because I wasn't going to listen to them anyway.
I'm going to fall back on when we talked about Bodak Yellow.
Ah, yeah. It's like, look, we shaped the flow. But, like, it's distinct enough where it doesn't just sound like just him. Because, I mean, his voice just sounds like a colicky baby. And it's just like, I don't know if most people could listen to that for a full song. Mostly because, like, if you listen to his hits, like, you can tell they knew that. Because, like, he's only on maybe, like, a third of the whole song. You know what I mean?
I'm just going to leave it at that it's a strong recommendation from me. I already bought the album, the fucking Taylor Swift album. And it's the first Taylor album I ever bought, and those who have followed me from back in the day will know.
Oh, he got their transformation, as I have gone through with Tyler the Creator. So it seems,
there you go. Look at our redemption arcs.
Where there's a season, turn, my friend.
It has been a slow burn, Taylor Swift, on me. It's like every album since 2008 has had like one more song on it that I liked than the last album. It's like, all right, I've got my eye on you. And then then 1989 came out, and I was like, man, I'm kind of digging like a quarter, maybe even like half this album. And then that last one dropped with the Look What You Made Me Do joint. And I was like,
see,
damn it.
And see, those hit singles are how I know her. So it's like, it's purely the hit singles for me. So I'm like, all right, if I don't hear good, like, surface singles, then I'm not delving any deeper. And they all just kind of sound like, you know, the pop sound of the day, like maybe with country twang in it, but like, it's not that remarkable. But this album was like, there was one song, I think, called like Mirror Ball or Disco Ball.
Mirror
like
Ball,
that.
yeah.
And it was like my favorite one because it just captured this, like, I felt like I fell in love listening to that album, man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what I'm in love with, but I'm in love with something.
It might be the aesthetic. You know what I'll say?
That's what it is. She pulls it off.
I was listening to these songs and thinking to myself, you know what's odd? These sound like Taylor Swift songs. They're written very similarly to songs from previous albums. It's just the aesthetic is different.
Yeah, there's one on there specifically about like a friend that had been betrayed or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And you see the story unfold, and it's like about being in high school and being 17. You know?
Oh yeah, it's like this sounds very cut and dry, Taylor Swift, but then it's like, okay, so it almost makes you rethink. Like, okay, so Taylor's been this talented writer this whole time. It's just been like the aesthetic that's been turning me off. Am I gonna have to go back to those old albums and give them a second try now?
See, I think what it is like, she had one song on there called, like, This Is Me Trying.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that was her, like, legitimately. You know how Michael Jackson would sometimes write songs where it'd be like, yeah, I'm talking about this, but, you know, if you know about my life, you know, you kind of know what I'm talking about. Like, you know, black or white. Like, yes, it's talking about, oh, I love my baby, whether or not she's black or white. But what he really means is, you should accept my music, regardless of what I look like. You know what I'm saying?
Or fucking
like,
Man in the Mirror.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, yeah, you know, this is me trying, but this is pretty good when I actually try, though, isn't it?
But aside from that, we're going to transition over now to a pre-recorded segment, an interview with R.A. the Rugged Man. We talk about...
Woo! Your favorite rapper's favorite rapper.
You know, there's a good chance. We talk about some old tracks, we talk about some miscellaneous news going on right now, and we talk about the new album, All My Heroes Are Dead. So
yes,
check it out. Here's our interview with R.A. the Rugged Man. We'll be back with the graduation review after this. So this week on Going Off, we're privileged enough to be joined by, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, living legend, R.A. the Rugged Man. I was thinking about how often we see you pop up when we do album reviews. I was going to say where we least expect you, but it's just because you never know who's going to show up on these albums. And I was thinking about in the movie Forrest Gump, you'd always see him in the background of historical photos. We're listening to these albums and it's like, oh shit, there he is again. Like always just kind of popping up.
I'm Zelig. Did you ever see the Woody Allen movie Zelig?
Ooh, yeah.
I can't say I have.
That's the real version of Forrest Gump. That's where they got
Even
all that.
better. Exactly.
So it's been 7 years, and that kind of explains what we were just talking about like just kind of popping up, kind of laying low until the new album came out, and that's why we're here. I'm sure there's a lot of reasons as to why there's been the 7-year gap. So you just want to talk to like how your life has changed in that time, and
you know, 6.5 years, and I have a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I've done hundreds of shows since the last album, and I've done, you know, dozens and dozens of songs and features. I've had, you know, 50, 60 features released, probably 40, 50 songs unreleased, you know, so we've been very, very productive. You know, I'm a showman, I'm an MC, I'm a stage performer. And plus, I don't have the tools to just drop an album and everybody gets to hear it that week, you know? So when I drop an album, like when I dropped the one before this, you know, it takes you 2-3 years to promote it. You got to put out videos for every song. You got to tour every city. You got to be in everyone's face. And every day people are learning more about the album and discovering it that they haven't heard it. It's like a lot more footwork to do, you know? So for me to put out an album, I want to make sure that it leaves a big splash as much as it possibly could, you know, and, you know, I don't have a lot of tools. So it's a lot more work than people know. And, you know, if you look at the videos, I always want to make sure that the videos are top quality or conceptually something interesting. So, you know, it's just a lot of, you know, editing and producing videos and directing and getting directors together and casting and locations and, you know, all of this stuff. And then each time the video drops, you have to push it and promote it. So, and I don't have a team to push those buttons for me, like a big fancy team. So it's like, it's all footwork, like
all independent,
you know,
right?
Slowly trying to make people gain awareness and this and that. And, well, you know, the cards are stacked against us because the machine doesn't like us. They don't want to include us. And like we'll get more clicks than the other rappers and more attention than the other rappers, and the mainstream media in America for some reason will completely not review it, not touch it, not write anything, ignore it, not put us on the lists. But what we depend on is the rappers and the fans and the people who, you know, aren't part of a machine to come out and say, wow, this is the best album I heard all year. Wow, this is the best album I heard in years. Wow, wow, wow. And that word of mouth keeps spreading and spreading and spreading till it becomes undeniable. But it just takes a lot more work to get it out there. So, you know, I don't want to just release an album, you know, my fan base gets to hear it right away, and then release another album and my fan base, you know, I like to keep expanding the fan base and letting people hear of me nonstop. I want new people to hear the records. I want to get as much people to hear the records as possible, you know.
A friend of the show we've had on a few times, Open Mike Eagle, kind of wrote a piece on what it's like releasing an album during the pandemic. You were right on that edge, I would say, because it was April, kind of like right before shit really went down. So I assume all the, you know, prep work as far as like the videos and everything was taken way in advance, like long before you had to worry about, you know, not being able to be in the same room with people to make a video or record this shit. When, how early was like recording on this album?
Oh, I've been recording for a couple years and working on the videos. You know, whenever I was on tour, I'd get a budget together and start shooting a video for something. Okay, you know, because with Legends Never Die, I didn't have the videos prepared. So, you know, that's the album before this one that I did. We'd be like, damn, the album's out and we need a video. You know, we need the next video. And we'd be waiting for edits, waiting for effects, waiting for this, waiting for all this shit to come through, waiting for coloring. And then, you know, people would be sitting around and we'd have no product. So this time I said, nah, let's just start shooting videos now. So when the record's out, we could just keep, you know, hitting them in the face with videos, you know. So that worked out for us because my album dropped the same month that the you know, pandemic started closing down everything, you know.
I want to say up front, you are a bafflingly talented artist. You put together lyrics like very few motherfuckers ever have done. Like, straight up and down, like, my experience starting, like, listening to you was on the Wu-Tang Think Differently. I heard your verse on Give It Up, and you were doing all these acrobatic lyrical flips of phrases. All of a sudden, you cut off the, like, really complicated flow, and then you hear, like, everything you heard about me is probably true. Heard I got the AIDS virus. I probably do. And it's like, whoa, who the fuck is this guy? You know, like, it just catches you all the fuck off. It's like, first it's like this lyrical dude, and then it's like, what in the fuck was that? So, like, you know, and that's the thing that was just like, I gotta hear more of this person, you know? So I want to know, like, what got you started rapping and rapping the way that you do, and what specifically pushed you into that sort of like horrorcore like aesthetic, you know what I mean?
As a kid, there was the whole thing to ban rap music and ban heavy metal music, ban horror movies, and the movie Maniac had like the guy a boner in his pants and a bloody knife and a woman's scalp, and all these women's groups were, oh, ban the film, oh, and people were complaining, oh, I see this picture outside my window on a billboard, this should be banned, you know. You started going more and more against the grain to try to say, okay, these people don't want us to say this, do this, you know, watch this picture, watch that. So you wanted to go even worse than everybody. So that's where a lot of that shock value from my teenage years came from, was trying to outdo it and trying to smack Tipper Gore in the face with you know, with lyricism and ugliness and shock. And, you know, if you look at the old clips, there was guys like Tom Denver. He was there fighting for free speech, and Dee Snider from Twisted Sister was fighting for free speech, and Frank Zappa was fighting for free speech.
Yeah, that threw
and
me
it
off.
was a time where everybody fought to be able to say the horrible, horrendous stuff. So I was a baby off of that era of watching them try to ban all the horror films and like movies. And if you look at the history of England, they were banning like every horror film I loved as a kid, and they were trying to censor everything. So coming off of that and loving hip hop so much, I was like, you know, because I came up on you know, the Juice Crew and all these great lyricists and rappers, and then Just Ice. He's one of the ones that started me on the shock value too. He had a song called "The Original Gangster of Hip Hop." And the beginning of the song, he says, "This record you're about to hear contains explicit dirty lyrics like fuck, shit, ass, bitch, your mother's dick, and all that shit. Hit it, DMX. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, so that was like, wow, he blew my mind with that one. So, so all of that stuff combined,
When was that? Was that before or after what's them boys? Ghetto Boys did their thing.
I think it was before. I think maybe Ghetto Boys had a little name in Texas. I'm not sure, but it was definitely before Ghetto Boys blew up.
I think Ghetto Boys was 1990 because I remember there being a discrepancy about Fresh Prince of Bel-Air technically being the first horrorcore rap because he did Nightmare on My Street, which is like the Freddy Krueger. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Nightmares by Dana Dane was before that.
That's true. Yeah. And oh, shit. That is so right. You're right. That one.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's a Blowfly rap where he's talking about Dracula and the cape. And, there was always a little horror. And Blowfly probably, and my guess was that rap was, my guess is 79, 80. I can't say for sure.
Yeah.
So I was actually going to ask, but you kind of already answered my question there because we've talked to nerdcore rappers on the show, and I've heard sometimes like there's almost like a resentment against the labeling of like nerdcore. They want to be like, no, that's like, it's like limiting or restricting.
What is
we just want to be known as
like. What
like,
does that even mean? I don't even know what that means.
That's like if you're rapping about like video games, or you're rapping over like 8-bit beats that sound like video game
tunes,
music.
Or there's one rapper we know, like her name is Samus. Like she raps about video games like in general with like metaphors, but like she'll be talking about real topics and shit.
The first thing I remember was, didn't somebody rap to the Pac-Man beat or one of those shits? Cocoa Brothers or something. Somebody rapped to the Pac-Man beat. I don't remember what it was though. Yeah.
That's why I was asking about, like, if the term shock rap kind of feels like you're put in a box, or if that's just kind of something you've, like, embraced.
I don't do all shock, I have a couple shock things here, I have a couple shock things there. But even when I was in the peak of shock, every record label sucks dick had a shocking title because nobody was saying it at that time. But I was dropping knowledge on the shit and educating, so, but definitely wasn't on every song. I had songs about, eating eyeballs and shit. And, when I was a teenager, that was just shit,
If you don't mind us getting into something a little bit more serious, one of your verses on Razor Blade Salvation was like eye-opening when I first heard that shit. I wanted to ask what maybe inspired that verse.
Which one? Which song was it?
Razor Blade Salvation. It was the one where he's like talking about having you went to the war in Vietnam and then you came back and your kids were like messed up and they had like because of Agent Orange and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was Uncommon Valor. That was based on my father's true story. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
That was my father. That was my father. Staff called me Thorburn John A. Staff Sergeant. That was who he was. And he went over to the war. They shipped him enemy territory, flew him in there. He was the gunner, 4,000 bullets a minute, and he'd go to rescue teams that were on enemy territory and bring them back. And eventually his helicopter got shot down, and he ended up in a body cast for 10 months. And then he came home. And, when he was over in enemy territories, they were spraying those territories with Agent Orange. And so my dad's kids were born handicapped. My brother couldn't walk or talk. He was blind. My sister couldn't walk or talk. His grandson, my sister's son, he was born. He died at 6 months old. My brother, who couldn't walk or talk or see, he died at 10 years old. My sister died at 25 years old. So so that song's all based on real characters, real people, so.
Your first solo album, you had requested it to get shelved? And I was like, wait, that doesn't make sense. So I wanted to ask you, like...
Of course it does make sense. Well, what happened was I was in a bidding war, and I had 9 record labels. Everybody wanted me. Everybody wanted to sign me. I was nicer than everybody. I was a monster. And But then I was crazy. I was wild, and me and the label wasn't getting along. And I was banned from the building, and I wasn't allowed to have meetings at the label, and half the label hated my guts as a person. So I said, look, let's have a meeting and try to work this all out with everybody. And they're like, yeah, but what if you go crazy or something? So I said, you know what? Get me the fuck off this label. Like, you got me sitting here. I'm not allowed to fucking meet. And they're like, no, we still got a lot of work to do. We're gonna blow it up. And then we started this riot at a convention, and big riot, 700 people, and it was a big jive showcase. And then they shut it. They put me on freeze. And so I said, well, let me go. And then like the other labels were coming to buy my contract out, but then Jive would give them all this crazy shit about me and tell them, oh, well, you have to buy the album, but then you have to start a new budget, and you have to, like, there's all this shit that they was telling everybody. And it got to the point where everyone was like, oh, they say he's crazy, he hates this, he does, So it got to the point where everybody was just like, yo, we can't fuck with him, he's too crazy. We love his music, but he's crazy. So, once, and they were all in bed together at the time. So they all go to dinners together. They all go to weddings together. They all do everything together, the labels, all the label industry people were. So it's like popularity in high school type of thing. So when all of a sudden you become the scary, don't fuck with him artist, and one machine says, hey, we do a lot for you, don't do nothing for that kid, then they all shut it down, So after everything fell apart, and I got sued and this and that and all the crazy stuff, and then I don't know, I broke a window at the house, and they just was like, you're out of here. And I really had no money, I had no place to go. So I was sleeping, doing the couches thing, at people's houses, or sometimes I'd sleep on like a fucking sleep on a bench and pretend I was like just sitting but sleeping, shit like that,
I got you. And again, I want to like make it clear, like, if there's anything like you don't want to talk about and want to be like, hey, that was weird, edit that out. You know what I'm saying?
It's fine. I mean, you talk about what, you can talk about anything. There's nothing.
Yeah, all right. I just want to show the utmost respect to you as like an artist that's like fucking, you know what I mean? Like,
well, that's really dope of you, because, most of the time they want to talk about the stuff you don't want to talk about. And that's what they want to do. They want to get you to say some fucked up shit that they could take a headline out of. But I mean, what can I say? I'm an older guy. I've said it all in the past. You can't really get me on no gotcha shit.
Yeah, and personally, I don't like that anyway. Like, I'm more of the person who's like, wait, let's actually like dissect what was said and like figure out what the truth was, instead of like, oh, well, he said this, which can be construed as this, and that makes him a bad, you know what I mean? I like to be like, wait, what was the context of what was happening? And you know what I mean?
Dude, that's what they do, though. They look for one fucking sentence that someone might have said at one time, and they'll take that sentence, and that will forever mark the person's credibility. They once said this in 1950.
Again, if you don't mind, talking about the issue with the label, as I was trying to read about, again, like the interviews where they talk about like what happened in '94 with da. And I was reading about how concerning how things became like you having the reputation of being whatever type of wild man you were. It was about like an MTV event where you had like hired some like a woman to like, be put over your shoulder while you were like rapping or something like that.
The jive convention that we did was the Bowery Ballroom, and the women were fine. That was no thing. They were actually, it was the era when hookers were all through the streets, and it's right before Giuliani cleaned it up, so you could walk down the block and there was hookers on the street, So I was doing a show, and I said, hey, girls, you want to come do this concert, and we'll duct tape you up and bring you on the stage? And they were like, yeah, sure. I said, cool. I said, how much? And they're like, yeah, no sex. I said, nah, no sex at all. It's $35. So I got $35 each. I got a couple girls. They had a blast. They had a good time. And so that was nothing. That was not anything there. So I don't know what they were talking about, them women. The problem was that there were people in the crowd, and somebody had words with us from the neighborhood, and somebody had said something. One of them, somebody in the crowd had grabbed the woman, and we pulled the woman back on stage. She was fine. And then punches started getting thrown around, you know? And so a fight broke out. And I had this one kid, he was like throwing speakers. He was throwing speakers at the crowd, and the crowd was fighting.
Fuck.
It was a big, like, all man brawl riot. It had nothing to do with no sex or nothing. Women were fine. The guy at my record label, he got punched in the face. That was fucking hilarious and great. You know, he had glasses on, big nerdy glasses, and fucking, he was like, yo, RA. And right from the side, somebody sucker punch, bow, right in the face. And it's funny too, that night, you know, we started this huge riot. People were outside with weapons waiting for us, all of this crazy shit. Yeah. And the guy that got punched in the face, he had crooked glasses on. He's a big A&R guy. And I said, yo, that was fucking awesome. This is what makes legends, yo. This is legendary. And he was like, yeah. And then the next day he called me, like, you know, I guess he didn't want to say it to my face, but the next day he was like, how dare you do that? You started a riot, ruined the showcase, which he was right. I did ruin the showcase, you know. But if they was acting like it was over something, it wasn't.
Right.
That particular one was a fight, you know. You know, I don't regret those days, you know, but in this day and age, when they're looking for gotcha moments to put on the internet, it's like, you know, it is what it is. I don't give a shit.
That's interesting too, because like, I mean, I was just doing an episode about Vanilla Ice and about how he was like 17 when, like maybe even 16 when he had first done his first record, and I was just like, really took me back, like, wow, these motherfuckers were young when like y'all were getting. I was like, wait a minute. And
I started rapping, you know, 12 years old, the 11 years old, but 12, 13, 14, really making an impact and really going from party to party and studio to studio. And then by the time I was 15, 16, I was already like a force to reckon with. And they was bringing me everywhere to battle everyone and rock the street corners, rock the clubs, rock the parties. And I was a little kid. And then, you know, I started getting deals around 17 years old. They were throwing them at me. They were throwing deals at me. I was a little teenage kid, you know. And then even as a teenager, they'd send limousines out to get me and, you know, hookers in the limousines and, you know, buying me fancy steaks and, you know, like I'm a king, you know. So it was good times, you know.
I just wanted to fast forward to the newest album. The title of the album and the cover of the album is so... It's very eye-catching.
Like a 90s movie poster sort of way. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy's name is the Dude Designs. And he's really dope. He's like an amazing artist, and he does movie posters. So that's why I got him, because he does these great movie posters, you know. And he did the artwork for that Hobo and a Shotgun movie. But he did a lot of different. He did a lot of artwork for a lot of things. He did the They Live Blu-ray artwork, which is fantastic. But he did 10 to Midnight. I mean, he did a lot of really fantastic, great artwork. So I hit him up and we talked and made it happen, and I'm very proud of that album. It's my first good album cover.
No, I think the one with the all of the guys like trying to like kill you with the different weapons, that one's fucking... Oh
no, that's a great album cover too. That was shot by Clay Patrick McBride. But that was for a collection of songs. That wasn't a full studio album. That was a collection of Legendary Classics Volume 1, which, I mean, but it's still an album. It's 20 fucking songs, you know? But I love that album cover, yeah.
Well, I was going to ask, like, it's such a serious title on the face. For at least the front of the album, with, like, Legendary Loser and Oldies, they're more, like, a little more lighthearted. When you're attacking the album, like, going in, were you planning on making something more lighthearted and then just kind of more ideas came to you? Or do you really not have, like, a specific, like, tone or feel for the album? It's just, like, whatever the fuck, like, comes to you, that's going in?
No, I like to do all my albums with different feels to them, you know? I don't want everything to be rough, rugged street, you know, church orchestra, you know, bam, 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 mosh pit. You know, I don't want every song to be that. I want to be versatile. So Golden Oldies and Wondering, they were soft, I know, but I purposely They were great storytelling. They were simple, but really intricate in the storytelling. So I wanted to kind of put them close to the front, just to say, hey, look, you know. But I start off with the intro, which is like fucking album in one song. So I said, okay, hit him with the lyrical murder, hit him with all the beats, hit him with the rhymes, hit him, go, and then let them know what they're in for the album, and tell them, give them a little description, and then we end on the mental illness and the past, and we open up with Legendary Loser, where we go to the story of who this man is. If you don't know, here he is. And then halfway through, it seems like it's going to be one of them self-deprecating records, but then it turns into like an uplifting, positive, save the world, you know, kids, you can do it too type of record. So that's where we went to. And then from there, I wanted to keep okay, we just uplifted him. Let's keep the party going. Let's not go punch anybody in the face yet. Let's keep the party going. So that's why we went to the golden oldies, where bah, and then it's a little bit more storytelling, but it's a party. You're in a house party still. So the whole sequence of the record is completely on purpose, you know. And then that's why when we go through that little kind of that's why I like the album to be heard from front to back and not just a couple songs on YouTube and then you look at another one later. Like it's sequenced purposely in a certain way. And then we go into a real dark place, and it's a song about, you know, death and loss and, you know, rape and suicide and drug addiction and loss of a child. It's the song called Wondering. So now, okay, we just depressed the fuck out of the listener, but we made them feel, we moved them. So now let's get back to it. Let's go fuck all this shit. Now let's get to the hardcore. Here's the hardcore. And that's when we spank them in the face, you know, bow with the dragon fire. We bring that high energy, Wu-Tang, Coogee Rap, all the legends in, and we really smack them. And okay, they're used to it, they're amped up, they're ready to go. And then you go to the next record, all systems go. Now we're gonna floss on them with the bars and the style and the simple, you know. So it's just there's a lot to the sequence, a lot more thinking into it than you think. It's not just like, oh, we're going to, you know, it's like a movie. I was trying to put like a feature film together with the entire album, you know?
Oh, yeah. It sounded like you were talking about directing it. Yeah.
We end up reviewing albums on a weekly basis, and I think we're just kind of used to just more of a slapdash kind of feel to it, where it's like, here's a whole bunch of MP3s. I'm just going to send them to the producer. I don't care what order you put them in. So we're more of a roller coaster ride on this one. You got the kind of lulls that kind of build up the punch of the more heavy hitting songs. So yeah, I think that all works really well. It's very impactful, the way it just kind of all complements each other. I was watching Dead End Hip Hop, and they did a review of the album, and they said that like it didn't sound like an old school album, and it doesn't sound like it doesn't sound dated, right? But like there's definitely a flair there, and you could tell it's from someone who's been around the block, if that makes sense. Like I guess the experience itself just kind of shines through. I just wanted to kind of throw that compliment out there.
You want to give them something that's not stuck in, like if you listen to some of the rappers that I come up with, you listen to their albums and it sounds like a worse version of what they were doing in the 90s, you know, because the 90s isn't here no more. So the 2-inch reel isn't there, the warmth, the producers using those machines to make the beats. That's not the hot beat to make, so less people are going to that direction. So to get a really great version of that, you're not like in 2020, you're not going to get they reminisce over you beat anymore. You know, who's going to make a beat at that high level quality of a 1990s track? Not going to get that ever again. That's a same thing. Like if you listen to some of the classic soul records or doo-wop, you know, you hear Amy Winehouse before she died. She was making great music, but it was an interpretation of all these records that already happened in the 50s and 60s, and she's never given that sound from that era. And it's kind of like when rappers are trying to do the same sound that they did in the 90s, it's not going to be as good most of the time, you know? So what you got to do is you got to give an interpretation of it, but at the same time, you got to update it and give them, you know, something that somebody that never heard a 90s record in their life could be like, wow, this sounds like today. This sounds current. But at the same time, you want to keep it hip hop. So I had a lot of elements of you know, a lot of the producers were, you know, my guy Michael Menard was originally from Pretty Lights, you know what I mean? So there was certain production like that, the kick drums. He was doing stuff for more like Machine Gun Kelly and those kind of, and I think maybe what's the guy, Kid Cudi or something like that. I think he was doing those kind of records. So those kind of producers, you're not used to me with that. You know, the guys like Prince Paul and Psycho Les, you're used to that with RA. But those records came out brilliant because we brought in a whole nother way to attack it, you know, and the guys came to the table lovely. And I don't know, it's a lot of, you just have to update the hip hop. You can't just stay stagnant and dream about the past, but you could bring elements from the past into the new, you know. So you could bring in scratches. You could bring in some of the world's greatest DJs. You could bring Jazzy Jeff into scratch. You could bring Jay from, you know, EPMD into scratch. You could bring all these great DJs to come in and scratch and you know, still keep it current with classic techniques of hip hop, you know?
I was just going to mention Prince Paul earlier when I was making that kind of shitty analogy about Forrest Gump. Again, going back to our friend Open Mike Eagle, he does a podcast now with Prince Paul. Yeah, you listen to that and it's like, man, this guy's been everywhere. I'm thinking about like, okay, we're going to be talking about R.A. Shit, he's been everywhere. And then I fucking look at the track list and I see fucking Prince Paul as one of the producers. It's like, all right. And then I listen to it and yeah, like, it's got the old school flavor, the touch, like an essence to it. But what you were talking about with modernizing, I'm just going to say this. The collection of features you got from people who were popping in the 90s, like Wu-Tang and Chuck D and Ice-T.
M.O.P., Onyx.
Exactly. You've got a crew there of people who, like, it's the essential 90s collection of people who could still fucking go, aren't kind of like falling into the parody.
Ice-T and Cool G Rap, those are 80s even. They were the 80s.
I was just going to comment on how fucking Ghostface sounds on that one track. I've never heard Ghostface sound like that. I was surprised it was even him. He was like rapping so much faster than I'm used to.
I'm trying to do a video for Dragon Fire. I really hope it happens. I really hope we can make it happen. I talked to G. He said that he might be available in September. I hope that happens. Master Killer's going to make himself available. And, you know, now working on Ghost. Ghost, you know, they seem open. We'll see what happens, you know.
I wanted to talk about one specific lyric, Stars Born from Die Rugged Man Die. Moved back in with Pop Duke and my handicapped brothers and sisters, we had no loot. That's when the feds came by and surrounded the house. They had automatic weapons and was pulling them out. And the moral of the story is, all that glamour and glitch shit, fuck that, I don't need it. And I was like, wait though, but what happened next? What? Like, how did our perilous, hero get out of this one?
Well, if you look at Legendary Loser, that's a sequel. When the house got raided by the feds and all of that stuff, I was innocent. I had nothing to do with it. So, you know, they handcuffed my father. They handcuffed my brother-in-law. They came in with the weapons. They put my pop in the back of the car. He was innocent too. But so they took away my brother-in-law. They came in the house with automatic weapons and dogs, and they ripped the whole house apart. But my brother-in-law was a legal gang member, and he was, you know, they arrested him for hiding bodies and conspiracy murders and extortions and all of this shit. And he was, you know, he still is, but he's married to my sister. So they came looking for him and his gang. And they came heavy. The whole fucking house surrounded. They like I said, and they took down a whole bunch of them that day, you know, throughout the whole Long Island. But yeah, they came in there. And then while they were unpacking everything and searching the house, and they would listen to the phone and stuff, they said to my father, because this is before, like, this is when weed was looked at even more illegal, you know, now kind of light. But they said, oh, you know, we hear you, we know you smoke your weed and all this stuff. And my father was like, well, that's not even, you know, how the hell, why would you even say that, you know? But there was a big black guy there that was one of the feds. And it was a time when my father still thought that only black guys knew rap, you know? Like, he didn't know that, no, rap is all over the world now. You know, he thought, no, rap, you know, because when I used to rap, he knew it was only black kids. And he used to say, hey, son, you know, you're a big fat white kid. You can't rap. Nobody's going to listen to that, you know? So when the Fed was there, black guy, the one black Fed, he said, hey, yo, come here, man. You know who Biggie Smalls is, right? And the guy's like, yes. He's like, all right, my son made records with him. Let me play you this song. And he's sitting there playing the Cunt Renaissance, the song with me and Biggie, ripping cunts out. And like, just because it was a black guy, I'm like, yeah, you know. White guys listen to rap too now, you know. Yeah, the feds must have been like, I rip your cunts out with spoons. Like, yeah, search the house.
Might need to do some further investigating.
Empty all the
Was there a case
silverware.
about the PMRC? They were trying to take this music down, weren't they?
When you were talking about videos, one thing I wanted to ask you specifically, one of the first videos that came up was the is R.A. the Rugged Man a feminist? And I was so curious about this video and just everything surrounding it, and just kind of like looking through the comments, and a lot of people had the similar questions of like, when was this filmed, and just like where did the idea come from to film that promo? Was it even intended to be a promo?
No, it was just a comedy. We were just looking for material for the internet, and you know, my friend knew some feminists in Germany, and we filmed it, I think, the week before. It was when everybody started getting paranoid about Corona.
Oh, okay.
And this was like the week before. They were having like this big feminist rally, and some people were like, no, you shouldn't go. You know, maybe Corona's real, you know, and everybody. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, if the fucking festival's going on, like, well, you know, I could go to a feminist festival, you know? So I went to it. And literally like a week later, the whole country closed down, you know? So, yeah. But no, it was just, we were just having fun. And you know, the funniest thing is you see some people offended that don't even know the humor or the, you know, I'm sitting there being a fucking Neanderthal man in the video, like an ignorant Neanderthal man. And they don't know irony or humor. They don't get it, but it's all good.
Yeah, and well, like, I mean, at least for me, as I was watching it, it was just like, Muse had remarked that it was like, it's kind of reminded me of like an Ali G skit, like, but like at the same time, it was just like, it didn't come off like a fucking, you know, Ben Shapiro type of like, what are these, you know, feminist people up to? It was just like, oh, but he's actually like letting them speak though. It
wasn't anti-feminist at all. It was,
yeah.
It was having fun with people. We all respected each other and had, you know, they had their opinions. I have mine. I'm a caveman animal, you know, but I'm a decent human. They knew that my music was garbage to them, you know, so everybody was down, everybody was open, everybody was cool. So we had a good time. I don't think people with the same views or different views, and you know what? I don't have total different views from them anyway. The ones in the video, the people I was talking to, you know, they were saying things that I was like, oh, that makes sense, you know. Mm-hmm. So, you know, but at the same time, like, I'm sure they wouldn't agree to a lot of my views, you know, so it is what it is, you know. I hate this new era where like everybody has to think exactly the same, and if not, they're your enemy. It's like, man, everybody's a human being. True. Everybody's just trying to get by, man. Everybody's just trying to make it, you know. But I do understand. The thing is, the internet now exposes how ridiculously ignorant people can get, you know. Right, so you have to read. Like, I got this kid who used to be like a wannabe rapper, the white boy, and you know, he used to, hey, yo, and he used to hang out, and he was a pain in the ass because he wanted to be a rapper, always rapping in your ear. But, you know, he was all right, cool. So I kind of took him in, hey, come on, it's cool. And he used to bring groceries and things to my father when my father was sick. And so, I kind of made him a little bit close to the family. And then after this Trump shit, he's like a super Trump guy. And I let him slide. Sure, fucking Trump. He's brainwashed, whatever. I'm not going to hate someone because they're brainwashed. But then it's like, now it's to the point where like, he's on that super pro cop shit. And I said, look, save your racist redneck rhetoric for someone else. I don't hear it. Like, honestly, like at this point, I didn't know it went this far where they're sitting there bad mouthing George Floyd. Like, that whole rhetoric of how anytime a black person's murdered, they'll come in with a million reasons why he deserved to be murdered.
Right.
And George Floyd is like the most undebatable that he shouldn't have been murdered.
Right. The most blatant.
No threat. He was fucking restrained. This and that. And I got this cousin that's a cop, and he was going on rants against George Floyd. So I went on his page and said, "You're a fucking disgrace." And then he fucking blocked me. I'm like, "Oh, my cousin blocked me because he's a fucking racist now." Like this new world, people are becoming. You're seeing people that you never knew were racist. You didn't know it, or stuff like you had no idea. And these people that were like, a lot of kids I see that were criminals their whole life. Kids I grew up with in Long Island that were criminals, and hated cops. And all of a sudden, when they're coming out talking about black folks being murdered by cops, all of a sudden they're the most pro cop people you ever seen in your life. You're like,
the fucking masks off.
What's all this pro cop shit? You hate cops. But
it's supposed to be for 12. Like what?
So, and they don't even see the irony of them looking at like a black man as a lesser human being that deserves to fucking die. Like how that's not just part of the racism that they claim doesn't exist in America. It's like, it's just a crazy time, man. And yeah, the internet, you get to hear how and see how some people think, and it's a little bit disappointing at times. Like, damn, this shit is crazy. So
I think Muse texted me. He was just like, "Yo, what? Ask him what like dream collabs would he have wanted? Like, who would he have wanted to collab with?" And I was like, "Yo, yeah, that is a good question. Who have you like wanted to like, been like, damn, I need to get that guy, when the timing is right?"
I'd love to do some with Kane, Big Daddy Kane. I did some with Ace. I did some with E-Rap. I did some with Craig before. So I did the whole symphony except for Kane. So if I get Kane, I did the symphony, You
collected them. Like, I gotta make sure he's on this.
Master Ace, I did records with, but nah, there's so many people I'd love to work with. I'd love to work with LL Cool J one day. And then on a more pop tip, I wouldn't mind going in with one of these guys like a Mark Ronson and doing a record and seeing what the fuck. Like, I'd like to do some experiment shit. I'd like to, the R&B producer Darkchild, Jenkins, Rodney Jenkins. I went to his IG one day and he posted up a beat that he was working on. I was like, damn, like that shit is crazy. So like, I wouldn't mind doing like the unexpected collabs.
Yeah, crossing into other people's musical neighborhoods. Yeah. Yeah,
which I like to do that. Like when I did the Hallelujah song with Tech Nine.
Oh,
it was for my album, but I wanted to make sure it was strange music territory. So I like to move into other territories. So like I would like to do something with a Mark Ronson type and see, what kind of fucking music with a producer in there thinking of his own. Because the thing is, I produce and arrange so much of the music on the albums. I would like to have somebody come in there and think of a million ideas and try this out, try that out. I'm not used to being produced, so I'm used to doing my engineer Chris Conway, he's a little bit of the production here when I do my music too. He has a lot to say, and it gives a lot of input when we work, so that's dope too.
This is where I'm gonna have the clickbaity headline of Ari the Rugged Man goes pop and everyone goes fucking bananas over it.
I knew it. I knew it when I saw the video for the "Look What You Made Me Do." I knew it.
You knew it was around the corner.
Well, let me tell you something. There was a Miley Cyrus song I did a rap to as well. I should have did a video.
I remember that. Yeah.
The video would have blew up. I just didn't. I ran out of time. I didn't get it done. But I forgot what the group was called, but they did a beat for Miley Cyrus, and it was like probably her biggest failure out of all her albums. But it was such a hard beat, man. And I was hitting up the guy that did it, but they didn't get back to me. You know, he was working with Miley Cyrus, so I guess he's like, "Who the fuck is R.A. the Rugged Man?" But you know, I think he was the Lips or something. He was some kind of group.
Oh, the Flaming Lips.
Is that who produced the Miley Cyrus?
Holy shit!
The Dead Pets one, right?
Yeah, and they did this the beat for Flaming Lips. That's what they called. So I was hitting them up when the Miley Cyrus one came out. Like, man. I want a hard beat like that. And in fact, I sent the hard Miley Cyrus beat to like 2 or 3 of my hip hop producers. Like, yo, give me something with that energy. And they all came back with whack shit, you know. I guess it was.
The fucking Flaming Lips are the last people I would expect to be brought up in this interview. By the way, I just love their old shit.
They are. I know they're super known and super respected in their world. I just knew that song. What happened was, Miley Cyrus did this song called "Do It."
Yeah.
And everybody hated it, and it was like. She just had like slime all over her face, and it looked like cum dripping down on her face. And
yes, I remember that now.
But I gotta put the dick in the pussy, yeah.
Yeah, put the dick in the pussy, yeah. That was the song. And it was pornographic and gross, and I just felt like, wow, this is really some dope ass shit. And it felt like some crustified dibs if I was a little skinny white girl, you know? So people who I knew that were part of like the punk rock scene and hardcore scene, like skateboarder type kids I knew. I didn't like roll with them, but I knew them from the neighborhood, and they liked all the like controversial, edgy music. And I saw one of them like, they posted the Miley Cyrus video, like, this is the grossest thing. I'm like, yo, they're grossed out by Miley Cyrus. These fucking high school are like old ass men now, grossed out, offended by Miley fucking Cyrus. Then Miley disappointed me because then she kind of turned on rap and was like, oh, they talk about.
I remember that.
And I'm like, oh, fuck you. Like, you were doing hip hop. You were doing and then you were doing like underground grimy sex hop. You was doing like
fucking Peaches type of shit. Like
yeah, and then all of a sudden you're too cool for that, and you don't listen to hip hop because it degrades. It's like, yo, come on, man, that was fucked up to throw hip hop under the bus after you capitalized on it. So that disappointed me in the girl. Yeah.
I notice whenever something doesn't work, like there's the pop album, if it doesn't do well, all right, cool, I'm going to do this experimental rock album. That didn't work, I'll do the country album. That didn't work, I'll go back. So it's very, like, whatever you think is going to...
you know?
whatever you think is going to sell, and if it doesn't, then it's like, oh, well, I didn't want to do it anyway. Like that type of attitude.
Yeah, same thing Lord Jamar was talking about when white boy rappers, where, like, if rap stops working for them, they always switch up to rock music.
Country or something.
Oh yeah,
they always fall back on rock music and pick up a guitar. You know.
I did want to ask because I was watching the Legendary Loser video, and there's like I don't know if it's supposed to be a homogenized kind of like just rappers today kind of SoundCloud rapper type look, or like a 6ix9ine specifically type look or whatever that you were like rocking in that video, the fucking like rainbow hair and the grill and shit. When I was on Spotify, and I don't know if you know now, but if you like look yourself up on Spotify, the picture that pops up, I gotta ask about this current style and how you would describe the style, the fucking like fedora and like the suit jacket, because I saw that and that was it's very eye-grabbing, especially for hip-hop. So especially it's like, all right, the Rugged Man's back for 7 years, and I saw that and I was like, oh, okay, that's not exactly the look I was expecting.
So what, it's a fedora hat look?
That and like the brightly colored like big shoulder type like jacket look.
Yeah, no, you know what happened was before my father passed, I was crustified dibs. You know, I was already the Rugged Man, but I was still, you know, dressing bummy and street and look grimy, gritty. You know, the grimy '90s. You know, Onyx, low down, gritty, grimy. You know,
right, right.
Justified dibs, dirty, stinky, shitty, you know, like I was still part of that, and I wasn't dressing nice. And my father always had good style, even as broke as he was. He would always, there was something about his style. He had style, you know. So, and a couple times when he was alive, he said, "Hey, son, you know, you're a sharp looking kid, man. You got to dress better, you know." And Dad, I'm crustified. I'm crusty. I'm dirty, crusty. And I don't know. After my father passed, I think I just slowly transformed into his style a little bit, like, you know, trying to dress a little better. And I guess my influence, since he was in my mind, was, you know, okay, that, you know, Daddy, that looked like Daddy hat kind of. It's dope. Daddy looked dope when he rocked that. I don't know. So I kind of think it works, you know. So.
It definitely stands out, yeah. Like I ain't fucking knocking it. I just saw that, and it's like, I know everyone's got like a unique look. So I saw that and I was like, okay, not what I was expecting, but dope. All right.
I'm not gonna wear a fucking, you know, camouflage outfit with a backwards hat for the rest of my life, you know.
Our listener requested album review is Graduation by Kanye West, requested by B. Angelo. This is the I've lost track what number Kanye album this is for us.
I think it might be like the 4th, because I think we did Yay,
Life of Pablo.
Yeah, Life of Pablo, and we did one more.
We did, what was it called? Just like Yay?
The religious album.
Okay, yeah, we did the religious album, and we also did the one, I'm bipolar.
Yeah, that's just Yay. Yeah, so Yay, Life of Pablo. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, this is big ol' 5. And there are still ones left in the discography if people wanted to. Album, listener requests. We'll just run the whole damn gamut, because I don't think they're ever
why not?
I don't think they're gonna get any better, but if we go back in time...
yeah, exactly.
Gotta go back in time. Can we just talk real quick about the Back to the Future soundtrack songs? Real quick. About how they went from 2 banger classic...
Where's this coming from?
Huey Lewis and the News tracks for Back to the Future 1 and 2. We got fucking The Power of Love. And then we got fucking Gotta Go Back in Time. And then they just fucking got ZZ Top for Back to the Future 3. Can we just talk about how much of a step down, of a fucking downgrade that was?
Oh, come on, don't be hating.
Double back again!
I mean, I can't name any after legs, but, everybody, girl crazy about a sharp dress, man, come on, you know.
Oh, they all sound the same.
They right up there with, like, you know, 38 Special, you know what I'm saying? The Hold On, Lose That, you know. The 80s rock, you know, with the little reverberation going on, you know what I mean?
It's got that southern twang, just a little bit. Not enough to make you think it's country, but...
It's still popping off, you know?
Maybe some George Thorogood.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
But, let's get into it.
Yeah!
Now, for me, my history with Kanye West was always kind of like, I remember it like, he was one of those guys that my sister was into first.
Oh.
So it was kind of like, you know, I was like, I want to listen to, like, that guy. He's probably whack, whatever. Like, you know. And then, I listened. I was like, oh, all right. I guess he's not too bad. And, you know, I remember my sister, like, you know, talking about him, like, yeah, he's, like, one of those guys that, like, in the pantheon of, like, you know, the rappers at the time, like, he's the guy that, like, you know, obviously didn't get, like, you know, girls in high school. And now this is, like, his revenge, you know? Like, you get that personality from him. And my sister said that, like, all the way back then.
Oh, wow. Fucking picked up on that right away. Very perceptive.
Because it was like him, Lupe Fiasco, you know what I'm saying? Like those type of guys that are like, oh yeah, here's like the, you know, it's cool to like mainstream rap because like these guys are kind of like elevating it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Almost B.O.B. before he took a fucking...
Yeah, you know, he was like a little bit in there at the the last part of the 2000s.
Yeah.
Before, oh boy. It's sad how that story ended.
Yeah. I got the magic in me. I got the magic baby. Remember that one?
Yeah, I do actually. That was one of the few ones where I actually really liked. All the other ones of B.O.B. was always like, to me, kind of, all the other singles were always kind of like, this is just a for radio single. Like, I remember he was one of those ones where when I was listening to, like, you know, going to sohh.com or whatever to, like, you know, see what people were talking about, the new hip hop or whatever, like, you know, the early days of, like, being a teenager and going on, you know, hip hop websites or whatever. And yeah, I remember seeing the I'll Be in the Sky video or something like that and being like, oh yeah, you know, this guy's kind of interesting. He very clearly listens to a lot of, you know, Andre 3000 and, you know, but we're going to hear like what that sounds like when he's like able to go off on his own. Yeah, you know, that's kind of cool. And then he just became a generic, you know, Southern, like, rapper, but just making like the sort of, you know, cause you remember that So Good song? Like by that point, it was just like, oh, this is just what he does now.
They really
like,
tried though there, didn't they? They fucking put him with Haley Williams and Eminem on airplanes, and then they put Rivers Cuomo on fucking
you know,
Magic.
they were trying to challenge, you know, they knew he had the quirky angle going for him, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, he's got that crossover appeal.
Yeah, they were trying to put him on that Travie McCoy, you know, Gym Class Heroes level, you know what I'm saying?
Oh man, yeah.
Going back to
Kanye,
right.
West.
But yeah, you know, so yeah, you had your Lupes, you had your Kanyes, Jay-Z was kind of like, it's not that he was like specifically of that ilk, but it was like, he was such like the distinguished guy who had been around so long, and he was very clearly like helping these guys be that next level that like, you know what I mean? He's kind of included in that too at the time, you know? Jay-Z cast a real big shadow on this album, specifically as you get near the end and you hear like, you know, the conflicting feelings he has about Jay-Z.
Very strange, yeah.
And yeah, and it gets kind of interesting, like, you know, there's one or two lyrics where it's just like, wait, I thought it was this way. And then, like, I found this Jay-Z interview where he, like, cleared it up, and it was just like, well, that kind of makes Kanye look like a dick for, like, making it look that way then, but we'll get into it.
So this was basically my introduction to Kanye, and I wouldn't listen to his previous albums until a good bit later because, for me, at the time, and as I've mentioned on the show before, 2008 Muse was a bit of an elitist purist when it came to the rap he decided to listen to, and Kanye was far too mainstream. He was too
talking
good.
About the chains and their polo shirts.
Boo! I'm over here listening to fucking KRS-One and Immortal Technique, and I can't be bothered with anything talking about anything less than real life shit, man. Ugh. Anyway. With that said, I wish I would have given this album a more fair shake at the time, because I did actually thoroughly enjoy this album for the most part. There might only be one song on this whole damn album that I didn't enjoy.
Yeah, like there's like one or two for me, but
would you like to wager a guess as to what
is
lowest?
it maybe Drunky Hot Girl?
Yeah. Yup. That song is Garbo. You can skip that one altogether. Especially when you're going from Barry Bonds to Flashing Lights, you can skip over Drunken Hot Girls.
So weird. Okay, so
you ain't missing shit.
Here's my thing. Okay, so I growing up listening, like I watch music videos all the fucking time. Like this was around the level where like, you know, I come home from school and I'm just watching music videos, you know, my homework be damned. Yep. So I would see like his videos come on, and I remember like, so in 2004, 2005, I'm like a peripheral sort of like, oh, I'll watch the like main singles, but you know, I'm not really like listening to them mainly. Like that's my sister's favorite rapper right now, you know. And then by the second album, I remember it was like the workout video was like so fun, and like, you know, it was like a long form video, and I'm like a sucker for like long form videos, like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, I want to see this, and oh, it's got like Anna Nicole Smith and all these celebrities, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool, like, and you know, and it's cut in a way where you're just like, is there an even longer version out there or something like that? They're just like, you know, they're just cutting to certain bits, you know what I mean? So it's like engaging on that level, and then I remember seeing the music video for Can't Tell Me Nothing. Like, I remember that being the first single that he dropped. Or, like, the first one he made a music video or something like that. And, like, the fact that it was so, like, not a, like, you know, planned for radio type of single where he was just, like, you know, confessing things and talking about, like, you know, how he felt about religion and all these sorts of things. It was just sort of like, whoa, like, you were willing to do that. And, you know, maybe it's because you're at a level of fame that you felt comfortable that you could do that. But just the fact that you did was like the thing that just like slightly made my eyes open a little bit. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, like you're challenging us right now. You know what I mean? Like, and then of course I remember it having all the ad libs by Young Jeezy all over it, because that was around the time where like Jeezy was at his height. It's like, goddamn, Jeezy's so big, he's appearing on, his ad libs are showing up on other people's songs.
Yeah.
That's right, my nigga, I give money.
My second least favorite cut would have to, unfortunately, according to Genius, when Kanye was asked what his favorite songs on the album were, this was one of them, but it was my second least favorite cut, and that's I Wonder.
No, I only find it like, I remember at first listening to it and not finding it as engaging because like it is that belabored flow. I've been waiting for this. It's like, get to the point.
I was not a fan of that choppy flow. I think the second half where he really switches it up.
Yeah, and the violins and stuff start to really come in.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I even wrote this down. Do you even remember what the issue is? Are you just trying to find where the tissue is? You can still be who you wish you is. It ain't happened yet, and that's what intuition is. When you hop back in the car, drive back to the crib, run back in the arms, the smoke screens, the chokes and the screams, you ever wonder what it all really means? That's fucking good, man. That's dope. But then, that fucking random ass, how many ladies in the house?
Right?
How many ladies in the house without a spouse? Something in your blouse got me feeling aroused. That could fucking go. Like his fucking 1980s standing in front of a brick wall comedian trying to do crowd work.
That is my problem with Kanye.
How many ladies in the house?
You know, it's the fucking Kanye-isms. Where it's
so
like
cheesy.
One or two times, like he needs someone to tell him, like, you're funny, you're not that funny.
Yeah, you had him, dude. That second verse was great. If you would have just left it off right there. There's a couple points in the album that I felt that way, and I'm just gonna rewind a little bit. I'm just gonna say I don't think Good Morning is that great of an opening cut.
With what he does and how it like sort of I guess in that sort of insane clown posse way of like, we're setting up this concept, but it doesn't really pay it off, but it's still sort of like a general theme of, you know, something that goes throughout the album, right? Or goes throughout his career. The idea of like going to school and being late and then graduating, and like this song being the payoff of that, right? Like of being like, hey, you know, you went to college and this is the thing you were supposed to do, and did it really help you just by nature of it being college?
And it's being the metaphor of, I've made it and I'm out on my own. You wouldn't know it at the time, but this really would be the last album of this Kanye, I would say.
Yeah. Originally, it was supposed to, like, after this, he was supposed to do an album called Good Ass Job, which was supposed to be like this is what happens after you graduate. You're supposed to get a good ass job. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man. And then we just never got that.
Yeah, well, because, you know, he got his heart broken by, a model or two or something.
He got fucking bleach on his t-shirt.
Oh, no.
Now you know the rest of the story.
But yeah, going into it, like, I mean, this is the song with the line, you know, I'm like the fly Malcolm X by any genes necessary. And it's like one of those things, like, I guess that's a nice play on words, but that just feels so like a bit of a step down from the person you're talking about. You know, like,
Yeah.
Isn't it cool that I'm really well dressed? It's like, well, but you're bringing up Malcolm X, so now I'm thinking about his principles and stuff, you know?
I'm just looking at it as a context of, like, it's kind of a boring song. Like, I think it's alright. Lyrics-wise, I think it's fine.
Especially in terms of, like when it gets to that last part, and the only thing they really added is the hustlers, that's if you're still living, get on down. And it feels a little like, it feels like it's just something to do to have a sample in there. I like Jay-Z. Jay-Z is my friend. I'm doing an homage to him by having this beat in here at the beginning, instead of it actually feeling like, you know, it directly fitting with what's happening. You know what I mean? Like, you have to bend your brain a bit to figure out, like, wait, what does the hustlers have to do with this? Is like, well, I guess, like, if you're if you're a hustler in college, I mean, you're probably doing fine anyway. You're still alive if you came out of college, but okay, whatever, you know?
The little things about this track are what really set it apart for me. I don't know if this was the intention, but there's like a clack noise in the background and the beat, and it kind of reminded me of like the ticking of a clock. And I like how kind of spacey.
Yeah, it's
the
especially
track sounds.
when the
I like the ooh on the chorus. That sounds really cool. I like the feel of the track. It just doesn't necessarily get me excited for the album is the thing.
If the album ended and then wrapped around to this one, it would feel like, compared to everything else I listened to, this is a little simple. Yeah.
If this is the graduation...
Or maybe it's supposed to sound cold and lifeless, like, oh man, this wasn't what I thought it was gonna be.
Hey, you know what? Or, yeah, like the, it's over, but I'm not really happy about it kind of feeling. Who knows?
The good morning, and I don't know why he does it like that. Are you bending that, like, in expectation for the rhyme that you're doing here? Good morning, and look at the valedictorians. It's like,
yeah.
Wow. They're scared of the future while I hop in the DeLorean. Scared to face the world, complacent career student. Some people graduate but be still stupid. They tell you read this, eat this, don't look around, just peep this, preach this, teach us, Jesus. Okay, look up now. They done stole your streetness. After all of that, you receive this. Good morning.
Yeah.
Like, I love that it's like you receive this, like this piece of paper, but also like this wake up call, you know?
The first day of the rest of your life, so to speak, you know? But it also means, like, yeah, there's, like, a whole bunch of, like, responsibility that you're now going to be met with.
Like, wait, have I actually been prepared for this?
Yeah, oh fuck, this got here a lot faster than I anticipated, maybe.
Like, I mean...
That's a good point.
I immediately started thinking of that song from The Coup on the last album we reviewed. They won't teach you how to get the fuck out the ghetto, of course. You know,
yeah.
like, they'll teach you this, but not things that you might actually, like, materially need in the moment, as, you know what I mean? So, yeah, like, I do like that sort of the challenging of the norms that his music sort of inherently has in it, especially with the first three albums as that running theme, you know, especially like since in, you know, the 2000s, that was like that sort of level of like, yo, not all black people are just like, you know, on some gangster shit or whatever the fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like some kids are in the hood and just want to like fucking do their homework and keep their heads down and like, you know what I mean? Like, they like hip-hop and all that shit, too, but it's just like, I'm not fucking, you know, doing all that shit. Now, maybe I'm not wearing a fucking pink polo, but I think that's what it is. It's like the vulnerability of, like, the middle-class blackness that Kanye West represents, but it's also, like, the blindness to, like, maybe what's really going on that middle classness also kind of like brings with it, especially as you get later on, you know?
Champion is the first cut of the album that...
Do you realize... like, it feels like the album opens up.
Yeah, it really is like, okay, now that that's out of the way, here's the fucking feel of the album. And this is a theme throughout the album, for better or worse, of you've got a sample... and it plays, like, throughout the whole song, to where it gets almost a little distracting, because it keeps going.
You're not gonna switch this up at all? Like...
When someone raps over a sample with lyrics, it messes with my ears, and I can't really focus.
I can't listen to? The Black Sheep song, This or That.
Oh!
That you could do with this, or you could do with that, because whenever they're rapping, someone is like, yeah, come on! Yeah, come on! And I'm like, what? Stop! I can't.
But I do really like this track. And I wrote down here the second verse, which I think is a little stronger than the first one. The first verse is about how he's got this admiration for his dad, and how, you know, we didn't have much, but he fucking, you know, we did the best with what we had. The second verse, though, when I feel like living harder than dying, for me giving up way harder than trying. Yeah. Lauryn Hill said her heart was in Zion. I wish her heart was still in rhyming. Cause who the kid's gonna listen to, huh? I guess me, if it isn't you. Last week I paid a visit to the institute. They got the dropout, keeping the kids in school. I guess I cleaned up my act like Prince do. If not for pleasure, then at least for the principle. They got the CD, they gotta see me. Drop gems like I dropped out of PE. That's a really great, solid-ass verse.
Right? Like, I really went back and listened through that. I was like, wait a minute.
they do cheapen it, in my opinion, with the "This is a story of a champion, runners on their mark, and they pop the." I didn't like the singers. That kind of made it feel like, all right, I wasn't a huge fan. Like, it was one of those instances of like, you could have stopped where you were ahead, and it would have been great, but you kept going and kind of ruined it.
But you know what it is for me? Like, because up to that point, it was kind of annoying that had been repeating so much. I was like, okay, we got something switching it up. You know,
that is true.
It does feel a little like it doesn't feel in junction with the actual original like beat of what's happening. You know what I mean? And then Stronger, which that was one of those things to me which just like hit at the right blurred moment of like Kanye knows Daft Punk too, and you know, like, and yes, that song is awesome, and he actually like transformed it into like something different. Like, if I listen to that Daft Punk song and I listen to it, it's two different experiences. You know what I'm saying? Like, he actually really enhanced it. I mean, he did use the Daft Punk dude, so maybe there's a bit of that there, but but the point is...
It's Kanye and Timbaland, and Timbaland has a pretty good track record.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, he has a couple times,
yeah,
but...
And it's a little baffling when it does happen.
This one, yeah, he absolutely did not miss. It is a completely new experience, especially in 2008, where people were just straight up lifting choruses from
He was like,
old
okay,
songs.
let's show him how to do it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say fucking Stronger is a goddamn classic.
Yeah.
I really wish it didn't have a homophobic slur in it, because
Yeah.
it's so much fun otherwise.
Like, it was one of those things, I remember someone saying to me, like, it was around this time, I was like, hey, you know, I hear Kanye West is like, you know, he's a pretty cool guy, he's like a lot more progressive than a lot of other rappers, like, I hear, you know, he's like kind of the most feminist rapper, and I was like, maybe progressive than more rappers? I wouldn't say. Because, like, literally the first thing that popped into my head was that lyric, and it was like, well...
In 2008, let's just go ahead and say it, the bar was kind of low. By not saying bitches in a song,
right.
all of a sudden, he's more progressive than all the other rappers, because he doesn't say bitches and hoes in his songs. Like, wow. Like, alright, is that really where we're at?
But, like, are you looking at, like, the intentions of what he's saying?
Yeah.
That's really what it is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's the more subtle, toxic masculinity here.
Yeah, but man, other than that, my only complaint is that, this album version is a little long.
You think so?
It repeats a bit, and it's like the beat could have cut off way sooner. Like, it's just really, it just goes.
For me, it's one of those, I just like letting it ride out.
You just hear, okay.
And that could be partially because, you know, the hype of the moment and seeing the music video and how, you know, high budget it was and shit, you know, the Akira references and shit, you know what I mean?
I will say, I don't really mind the beat. I was just like, man, I wish... It's those instances of, like, you got a whole lot of real estate here, and I wish you would have done something with it.
And here's what I'll say is wrong with Kanye from a lyrical standpoint on these albums. Like, he thinks he's such a fucking funny man when he's not that funny, right? Like, it's always like, I know you're talented, but that wasn't really that funny, and it wasn't worth the amount of time that you're making me have to sit here and listen to this, like, bad joke. You know what I mean? And there is a lot of times, like, there are a couple times where it's like, what the beat is doing feels like it should be a lot more epic in what you are lyrically giving me. Like, on Stronger, yes, you know, there's a lot of good lyrics, but yeah, when it gets to the Klondike and it's just like, is this the lyric that should be going over this epic sounding stuff? Just how you're drunk and how you're gonna get any girl you want? I mean, okay, you know, like, you're referencing Akira, which is about, like, being a god and all the epicness that, you know, entails, and this is all you're doing? You know? It's one of those things.
Yeah. I can definitely see that.
I think that's what it is. Like, I remember hearing the Stronger song and, like, really enjoying it, and then when he does the me likey and going into the second verse, that's when it started to feel like, me likey? Like, what? Good Life, I feel is a great single.
I have written down here that this might be the most 2007 sounding thing.
Right? It so sounds like that Timbaland... very boxed, like, I don't know, there's a certain sound Timbaland had at that time, you know, the Icebox song and this, and it's just very, like, very tight and controlled mechanical sort of feel, you know what I mean?
I mean, just T-Pain alone on it.
And yeah,
like,
just T-Pain!
if you opened a time capsule that was buried in 2007, this is what plays when you open it and you look at all the fucking artifacts from the time. Like, this encapsulates the sound, the feel, just the attitude of the time perfectly. And I'm 100% here for it. I think it's a great single.
Yeah. It's fun. Again, you kind of have to turn your brain off for some of the lyrics.
Oh, yeah.
They say I saw it with so much emphasis. Ooh, he's so sensitive. Like,
yeah. I didn't hate it too much, but yeah, I totally understand and agree that, yeah, sometimes it's just not worth it.
So yeah, Good Life, definitely a sunshiny, bouncy track. T-Pain is one of those guys who's like, I never really hated him that much from the jump, but there is that, like, especially when you're younger, like, oh, this guy gets overplayed, well, I don't like him. But, like, you know, I remember even hearing this song and being like, I mean, come on. Look, don't you hear? He's sampling fucking PYT. Come on, you can't hate that.
It kind of becomes a trope of Kanye's, and I saw somewhere it was referred to as, chipmunk soul.
Oh, yeah, he used to do that a lot when he started off.
Old R&B sample, and it comes up later on the album, and you fucking pitch correct it, where it's like this high-pitched thing. The fucking PYT sample, as far as I know, to my knowledge, it's the earliest example I'm aware of on the Michael Jackson song.
I wanna love your PYT.
Yeah, there's that, there's the Shaka Khan.
There was a couple of Jay-Z songs that he produced where, yeah, I think the H to the is a, you know, like,
oh, yeah.
But, I think that one didn't have the actual Jacksons. Well, I guess if you count the little, oh, like, at the very end, you know?
The Glory. That was the one that has more of the chipmunk.
Yeah, take it to the glory, I guess. And, oh, you're so right, man. I remember listening to that song and just being like, I understand hip-hop sample stuff and repeats it, but, like, that's really all you had? Like, but yeah, okay, so then we get to Barry Bonds. And I remember originally not liking this song. And I think it might have also been my, like, you know, dislike of Lil Wayne at the time. So it just kind of felt like, here's the guy who thinks he's the best rapper again. Oh, when I get 20s and when the rakings on the hundreds, I will have them. Oops, I meant have them. See, I messed up the word so I could rhyme it. It's a very cheap thing. I do it like 15 times in this one verse. You know, it's just like...
It's not a very strong Wayne sample, no. Or Wayne feature.
And just like the fact that when he first starts, he rhymes shady with shady. This is like... And it's like, okay, the lyric is, I'm so bright, not shady. My teeth and my eyes so white like shady. It's like, that wasn't worth it. You know, like the only thing that was worth is like, oh, get it? Bright, not shady. Huh? And his teeth and his eyes are white like... there's no rhyme. He's just saying shady
you
again.
Get
like, it. You know, it's just such a, like, disappointing opening line. Like, when it comes to, like, Kanye, I actually... really enjoy him on the song. The life of a Don, lights keep glowing, coming in the club with that fresh shit on, with something crazy on my arm. And then as you're hearing the drum do the, he's doing the, I love that. It's just like the introduction, and here's another hit, Barry Bond. And then you hear the, and the little, like the epic. I was like, huh. This is kind of fucking cool. But yeah, when he comes back in just with the, dude! Fresh off the plane, konnichiwa, bitches.
I don't think we have to mention Drunken Hot Girls featuring Mos Def.
You know how you mentioned, like, you hate how when it sounds like someone else is talking while, like, the beat is going?
Yeah.
That was a thing that annoyed me so much about this song, listening to it. Because, like, as you're listening, it's just like, especially the we go through too much just to mess with. In the background, you're hearing like the oh dum dum bum bum, and I found out it was like this sample of this other song that he was using, and like the original word is like drunken hot ghosts or something like that. And he was just like, well, it sounds like drunken hot girls to me, so I'm just gonna like not just sing what I think it sounds like, but play the original thing while it's happening, and it's just like it just fucks with, maybe in some production that can sound cool, but here it just, there's so much little happening everywhere else that all you could pay attention to is like the sample. Like every now and then there's a little like that comes in, but it's like it feels a little too late with this track. You know what I mean? Like on one level, like it's like this is what guys like me have to deal with just to get a little. I'm just trying to get a little play, and all these women just making it difficult. But it's just like you just sound like a douchebag. It's not like he hides it, Like, he's like, I don't want to drop your friends off. I just want you drunken hot girl.
And then we get Everything I Am featuring DJ Premier.
Yeah.
Everything after Drunken Hot Girls is like a victory lap after the most undeserving song. It's the worst song on the album, and then it's almost like Kanye was like, oh fuck, that song was really whack. Alright, I gotta hit him with 5 really good songs all in a row as penance for that last cut. Hopefully they'll forgive me.
Well, I actually don't enjoy Everything I Am as much.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like the production's a little like, on just like the simplistic side for what they're doing, but it's like, okay,
for DJ Premier.
Yeah, like if I hear a typical DJ Premier track, like, straight up, if you hear DJ Premier in the wild, it's just like immediately sort of like, what? Why does this sound like this ancient, musical piece that's been unearthed? That, like, you know what I mean? Like, which fucking Beethoven composer wrote this early? You know what I mean? Like, that's what hearing his production always sounds like. And it felt a little like cut up and unfinished here, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted to forgive that for the fact that it was trying to be serious, but then when you hear Kanye's verse, again, he's not taking it that serious. Like, when it gets to the second verse, like, you're hearing these very, like, serious piano chords, dum, 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 you know what I'm saying? Everything sounds, like, very important. And then, by the time at the end of the second verse, he's like, so say goodbye to the NAACP award, goodbye to the NDRE award. They'd rather give me the nigga please award. I'd rather just take the I got a lot of cheese award. It's just like, so, like, just like the face palm of like, you really thought that was the end of the verse.
That's true, because I was about to say, like, I don't really mind that, but yeah, for it to have that much emphasis on it.
Right before the chorus of like, damn, here we go again. Like, oh, beleaguered Kanye. And I just talked about how I have way more money than you, Like, it just doesn't sound like he's really thinking about it, And again, like, and I want to give him the props again, because in the third verse, where he goes like he says, I know people wouldn't usually rap this, but I got facts to back this. Just last year, Chicago had over 600 caskets. Man, killing some whack shit. Oh, I forgot, except when niggas is rapping. Do you know what it feels like when people is passing? I really appreciated, like, a lyric like that. Cause it was just like, holy shit. Like, breaking the fourth wall of, like, no, when people rap this, like, gang shit about, like, oh, fucking 50 Cent songs where it's like, I'll still kill and I'm gonna waste all the niggas on my block and all this type of shit. It's just like, man, but this is real, though. Like, illustrating versus glorifying. Because on one hand, it's like, well, the reason why we're saying this is because this is really what's happening, so we ain't trying to, like, sugarcoat that shit. But at the same time, it's just like, but it feels like you're glorifying it if all you're doing is talking about that and how cool it is, Now, I'm the type of person who's like, I do feel like if you are clever enough, you can bring something to it, but I do feel like the best artist, or at least the artist that I care about the most, can do that shit and still give it the weight that it deserves. Like, and still make you feel that, like, okay, yeah, I'm clever by being able to lay this out, but don't think that this is a light life that is fun. Like, there is a reality to this. You know what I'm saying? Like, rappers who are really good can do that, I feel. Like, in the same way that, like, Vanilla Ice, MC Hammer, if you look back into their history, hey, they were actually a little bit more hardcore than you thought they were. But that doesn't mean that they were good at relaying that. You know what I mean? And relaying the reality and the weight that comes with the topics from rappers of that day who were doing it well. You know what I mean?
I gotta give a shout out real quick, because you reminded me. There was a video I saw done by Polygon, the YouTube channel, talking about video games based on the movies of which posters you had up in your college dorm. Specifically, though, about Scarface, and how Scarface and the World Is Yours, Tony Montana, from fucking rags to riches, that is kind of adapted in a lot of hip hop.
Oh,
Like
of
the
course.
imagery.
I mean, there's
and
a rapper named Scarface, for God's sake. And the thing is, he's actually one of the more clever rappers. Like, you would think the guy who named himself Scarface would be one of the most generic, but he's actually one of the smartest ones.
But the thing about the video game that and about rap music most of the time when it deals with a lot of the same things compared to the movie, Tony lives.
In the game?
Yeah, and he just gets to be a badass who shoots everyone.
Yeah, that's
with
very
no
clearly missing the
consequence.
point.
Yeah, and when you listen to rap, it's like, it's almost the same thing of like, yeah, all this with no consequence. It's like, I think you missed the last 2 minutes.
Right? I remember...
Did you just decide to shut it off
I remember
right
that
then?
being such a, like, trope, and, like, you know, in the mid-2000s, that was when, like, the shit was at its height. Everyone wanted to be, like, Scarface, Mafioso, all this type of shit. And I remember thinking, like, everyone would always, like, you know, in my household, I grew up with Godfather and Goodfellas, and everyone always referenced Scarface, and that was the one I hadn't seen. I was like, oh, well, let me see that one. And then, like, watching and seeing that he died at the end, I was just like, well, why does everybody want to be this guy? He very clearly couldn't handle his shit and failed.
We're in the home stretch, and speaking of home...
Oh, yeah, can we go off again?
I miss the old going off, the when they would actually stay on topic for more than 5 minutes going off. The Glory, featuring John... Dude, is there a well, damn it. I was just gonna say, is there a single bad feature on here, but then there's that fucking Wayne sample and the Most Def sample back to back. Fucking John Legend, I really like him on here. Like I really like Chris Martin on the fucking chorus of,
Does he do that
Homecoming.
much, though? It's just, I can't stand it anymore. Oh, I can't stand it anymore. Oh, it's like...
He doesn't, no, I just think it sounds cool.
You know, it's one of those, like, you got John Legend just to do that?
And he also does drop his second homophobic slur of the album in this track, which is unfortunate, because it is a really good track in my opinion.
Yeah.
I really like his second verse. Kanye is the fucking second verse kid. Man, like, he'll set it up in the first one, but then he'll fucking, like, if the left don't get you, the fucking right one almost always does. Like, oh shit, man, he didn't have my full attention at first, but fuck, man, now he does. Can we just talk about goddamn Chris Martin? We fucking reviewed Viva La Vida on this show. I'm just gonna go ahead and say probably a couple years ago at this point. It might not have been that long ago,
Maybe
but
like
who the
8
hell
years
knows?
ago, yeah.
God, this is the fucking isn't it? Because now we got Chris Martin on this fucking...
No rock music listening ass me, like, knew who they were and, like, some of the songs. You know what I mean? Like...
And I hate to already just kind of sidestep Homecoming, but we'll fucking get to it in a second. But in the next track, Big Brother, Kanye mentions that Jay-Z did a song with Coldplay, and I'm not familiar with that. What was that?
Isn't that the, okay, my brain is confusing the Linkin Park thing he did, which in my mind always
the
made me go like,
crossover album.
huh? Yeah. But in my mind, I always remember being like, yeah, but that would mean he did that before you decided to do a collab with a rock artist anyway. So what are you talking about, Kanye? Like, unless he did, I mean, it was like 2003, 2004. Maybe it's like right after, but it's not one of those things where it's like, this Kanye song sounds so similar to a Jay-Z song. You know what I mean? Like, it's not one of those things that like mattered. So when he brought it up, it did feel like one of those like, oh, why do you care about that? You know?
And also, like I said, I'm not even familiar with the fucking Jay-Z song.
I remember, like, being disappointed by this song, because it's basically, I think it's just, like, the Coldplay song, and then it's just, like, he has a random verse on it that kind of feels mismatched, and I think he kind of did it after the Linkin Park thing kind of, like, you know, popped off. And so it's like, oh, I guess, like, let's do it again. I don't know. It's not clear which collaboration was made first, but Jay-Z's Beach Chair beat Homecoming to market when it was included on Jay-Z's Kingdom Come.
Oh.
Yeah, you see what I mean? Where it's like,
so was the song called Beach
yeah,
Chair?
like, I don't even fucking remember that.
No.
And I was like, that wasn't even a single. I think, like, wasn't, like, Beyonce was on that or something like that. It's from, like, the Kingdom Come album that wasn't, like, that album wasn't even, like, that big. That song wasn't even a single. And so it's, like, for you to be, like, to bring that up as if that's, like, something that, like, got you in your feelings is so just, like,
it was a fucking slight.
Yeah, it's just, like, why?
You're literally the only person still talking about that song, Kanye.
Yeah, I think it was just like, and that it just shows how little it mattered, because when I had first heard about it, I was thinking of like a Jay-Z song that I was probably thinking of the Linkin Park shit, because I was just like, wait, who's that guy again?
Yeah.
He did a song with the guy from Coldplay. Oh, is that, wait, I haven't listened to Linkin Park in a while. What song was it? You know what I mean? Like they were on my radar, but I wasn't like thinking about them. And especially like releasing this, like this is a hip hop album that hip hop people are gonna be listening to. Like, you think they give a shit that he did a collab with? You know what I mean? And like, why does this matter?
With that said, though, I do really like Homecoming.
Homecoming is a beautiful track. Yeah,
there are plenty of songs that fall into the trope of, I'm gonna write a love song, but it's really about my hometown. But I gotta say, Kanye does it really well on here.
I think he probably does it like the best of, like, this is one of the best of those, just with how much he commits to it. Although he does do the common thing at the end of the track. You know, I used to love it where he's like, hey guys, in case you didn't know what I was talking about.
I hate that he says, if you didn't know by now, I'm talking about Chi-Town. Like,
it's like, yes!
Yeah, uh-huh. You didn't have to do that, Kanye. If at first you're listening and you're like, her name was Wendy, like,
No, wait a minute.
And then you're just listening. Most of us are catching wise by the third verse, if not by the end of the first. Like, we're not that slow, Kanye. You're not that deep.
And I always thought it was odd, just the way the first verse ends with the weird cut there. Like, I guess that's why last winter she got so cold on me. She said, yeah, keep making that platinum and gold for me. Which, like, puts it off the beat so that it, like, goes, like, slightly over the guy singing the hook. But it's like, if you would have not done that, it would have been, the flow would have ended right before the hook, and it would have been perfect to go right into the, you know what I mean? Right into the hook where it was. So it's just like, I always remember being like, why do that? Like, you made the conscious decision to cut that part, and be like, no, it sounds too good that it cuts off before that. Make it, you know? And so it's like, and now you have to perform that live? You have to say, keep making that platinum and gold. Like, why?
And, man, ending with Big Brother is a really fucking strong track. I said that I wasn't going to...
We're gonna cry.
Talk... No, that I wasn't going to.
The relationship they have is so beautiful, but yet flawed.
Like, I still won't. I won't talk specifics about Kanye as the dude in 2020. But has anyone, like an artist of today, recorded a remix of Big Brother, but it's about Kanye?
This right about now, we would be due for one of those tracks.
Like, it feels like people had to have thought about it and then maybe thought better of it. Like,
because then you might have to interact with Kanye. You know, like, I heard the song you made about me. You don't like my dragon energy.
You have to fucking deal with the fans and maybe Kanye himself, and that's just more trouble than it's worth. And don't worry, I was definitely thinking it because it's kind of hard to ignore, unfortunately, with the climate we're in now, and just kind of talking about how, like, I used to look up to you, and you know there's plenty of people these days who were, like, when they were kids listening to Kanye, they were in the exact same boat, you know? But you mentioned earlier that there were a few possible historical, shall we say, inaccuracies.
Yeah, little revisionism going on.
A little bit of Lin-Manuelin going on. Who knows?
So, yeah, with this lyric in particular, and this is a lyric that, like, I remember hearing it being like kind of cut me, right? Because it was just like, oh man, how could Jay do something like this to him? You know, like it was like that is kind of like maybe I kind of understand why, you know, he's being a little cold, but
a little salty.
Yeah. First of all, though, I do want to point out this lyric. And yeah, I think this is what made it worse. So this is the lyric. Like, I told Jay I did a song with Coldplay. Next thing, he got a song with Coldplay. Back in my mind, I'm like, no way. Translate Espanol, no way, Jose. Did you think that was funny? Like, I'm gonna trip up with this one. I know a little Spanish. Like what?
I thought you were gonna point out the.
No, yeah, I'm gonna bring up that next. But just like,
oh, okay.
The fact that just like I was about to get to that, and then I was like, no, we're not skipping this. We're not skipping no way, Jose. You're not getting a flawless 5 out of 5 out of me with a lyric like translate Espanol, no way, Jose.
Yeah, that's a bit of a miss.
But yeah, then you got the lyric like, Big Brother got his show up at Madison Square, and I'm like, yeah, we gonna be there. But not only did I not get a chance to spit it, Carlene told me I could buy 2 tickets, and I heard that lyric like, oh shit. Like,
man.
Jay's being kind of cold. And, maybe it's one of those things where it's like, Jay didn't think Kanye was going to be that big, you know what I mean? And so, you're kind of on Kanye's side, like, oh, yeah, get him, Kanye, you know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't see your worth, but he'll see it one day, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things. And then...
I mean, we did just spend an hour with the man, so...
But then, first off, you find out, that Coldplay thing, was for a song that wasn't even a single, so why is he even... feel any type of way about that?
Yeah.
So that's first off. And then second off, again, when I looked up the interview, it says Jay clarified these lines in 2007, pointing out their unfairness. We know everybody sees things differently. You would think he didn't get any tickets. He got 4 tickets. He wanted 6. It's true. It's really true. He wanted 2 more tickets. But if you heard that, you'd be like, damn, them niggas ain't give them niggas no tickets. Come on. Like, yeah, Jay-Z. And if I was Jay-Z, I'd feel a little miffed, especially it's like these lyrics are gonna be here forever, dude. Like, and you just shit on me. Like, why? Cause of a collab word. Does that get you in your feelings? Like, no, I wanted to be the first rapper to collaborate with a rock musician. Like, seriously?
Like, do you think when they recorded Watch the Throne and they fucking put it out, that fucking Jay-Z looked over and he was like, are you happy now? Are you over the fucking tickets? The whole EP, essentially. Like, you good? Water under the bridge now?
So yeah, that's just the thing that just feels, and it's weird. Like, Jay-Z's the fucking billionaire guy, but I end up oddly feeling bad for him after finding out the truth about some of these songs, And I especially will put blame on Kanye for making me feel bad for a billionaire for that.
How dare you?
How dare you, sir?
RC, what did you give Graduation?
I give it a 4.5.
I ended up giving it a 4.
I really do think, it is one of those albums where it's just I hear why people, love it so much, but I can't stop hearing the issues with it that people seem to be overlooking, that they feel that is so good that it maybe allows them to overlook or maybe, enjoy it if that's their humor, you know what I mean? But for me, it's just there's just 1 or 2 times where it's just I can't just keep listening to him joke about it. Because, after a certain level, it's just especially after this album, it really becomes, the game of rappers brag about themselves all the time, but now this is just rich guy rap, where it's just I cannot in any way relate to you buying Hermes bag. Dude, I didn't even know what the fuck that was before you brought it up.
There's no way I can relate to this at all.
Yeah.
I think it's a really dope album. I wish I didn't sleep on it for as long as I did. I wish I would have listened to it sooner. I think there's some really, really strong cuts on here.
Yeah, for sure.
Just about all the fucking singles are really good, and then some of the deeper cuts are just as good, making you wonder why they weren't singles themselves. But man, fucking Drunken Hot Girls is absolute 100% skippable garbage. And just some of the other cuts that I wasn't that big. Some of the tracks where it feels like you've got the epic production, but it just feels like something deeper should be happening to accompany it. But then as you listen, it's just Kanye joking and fucking around, and it's just well, do you realize that this beat is so cool and serious? But that about wraps it up for this week's episode of Going Off. Huge special shout out and thank you to this week's very special guest, R.A. the Rugged Man. one more reminder for the folks, please check out his new album, All My Heroes Are Dead. It came out back in April. There is no excuse.
And it will surprise you.
You know, it's his first record in 7 years, so you gotta catch up on what Ari's been up to. Big thanks to D'Angelo for requesting Graduation by Kanye West. And if there is an album that you would like to request us to review on the show, it is a one-time $40 pledge. For now, what are we doing with that, by the way? Are we upping that?
We're going to be upping that going forward because we just got so many requests. Like,
we've got like 30-something requests in the queue. I'll be totally honest with y'all.
Yeah.
And yeah, on paper, if we just did 2 requests a week, that would be like 15 shows, but that's not even counting possible new releases that might get in the way, and 15 weeks is still... That's still 15 weeks. It's still fucking...
Just stemming the tide just for me personally so I can, like, manage... like, that's how I personally feel like, okay, if we raise the price, that will slow people down so I can, like...
I mean, it's fucking basic economics. It's fucking supply and demand. The supply is really high. We gotta up the price a little bit to maybe slow things down because, I hate making people wait. And the longer the queue gets, the longer people are going to have to wait.
Exactly. And I have seen like 1 or 2 people are like, oh, when is my thing coming up? And I hate doing that, you know? Like, I want to get to you, but it's anyone in the world who could possibly send us a request versus us two, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So... We're getting to them as quick as we can, but you know. Yeah,
going forward, this is what I was thinking. So for movie requests for my movie podcast, it's $50. For album reviews, it'll be $60. $70 for a personal album request if you want to request something yourself for us to listen to on the show, and then it's $80 for a personal just for me, if you want to like pay me and like let me give you notes for something. I've actually had a couple of people like come up to me and be like, hey, I really want your your consultation on what you think of this. So yeah, that's also a new tier I'm working on. So yeah, $80 for that if you want to give to that. So if you want to throw me your song or EP or whatever, it can be just a song, but you might want to get a little bit more bang for your buck. Yeah. And then it's $100 for a Rap Critic music video review. So yeah, that's how we're trying to parse things up going forward. So $100 for Rap Critic review, $80 for a personal thing with notes, $70 for a your personal album review on this podcast, $60 for just any album you'd want us to review, and then $50 for my movie podcast reviewing you if you want to request something over there. So bada boom, now you know. And also, I have a new tier on my Patreon, $2 tier, where you can vote on the next Rap Critic episode I do.
Oh,
so
cool.
I was sort of thinking about that in terms of like, well, that's kind of could make up for it, right? Like, okay, price is going up a little bit, but you get to decide like half the time what the next episode is going to be. You know what I mean? So
that's dope. Yeah.
Yeah. So, give the people a little incentive. Also, you can join my Discord, even if you're a $1 patron or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You can join up there. I've seen a very big uptick in people going on there. I think I just like fucking Discord like kills the link after like a day and a half or something like that. So you have to like keep redoing it, or you have to like specifically say, "Do not let this be a link that goes dead after a day."
Oh, fucking weird.
Yeah, now that I finally made that adjustment, people have been able to go to the Patreon, go to the Discord Patreon, and immediately I saw like a whole bunch more people. So yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, I'm going to be doing more polls and, streaming stuff on there. And of course, streaming on Twitch. And, well, at this point, I'm just trying to tell you everything I'm doing. And I need to have a list. And then I'll do this. And then I do that. I do pole vaulting on Saturdays. And I don't know where the fuck that came from. Anyways.
For new listeners who might have never listened to us before, all of our old episodes are on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, so you can do some catch-up, listen to past episodes and past interviews, because we've interviewed a pretty hefty sum.
We interviewed Speech from Arrested Development. We interviewed
Arabian
Prince from NWA.
Mega Ran, Samus, Sky Blue.
We're building it up.
Famside Norman recently. Closer affiliates, fucking Kill Bill and Rev. Always a joy to have on. Left at London, who I would love to have on the show again sometime soon.
D-Respect, yeah.
D-Respect. Open Mike Eagle. It's a good problem to have when we can't remember every fucking guest we have on the show. That list is getting very, very, very long, and that is a good problem to have. And I am looking forward to making that a more regular thing. Trying to have some people on more often, but you know. So if people have any ideas of maybe people that, you know, might be
some folks out there who might, you know, low key be into the show. I mean, hey, maybe fucking Brie Larson is a fan of the Going Out podcast, and you know, just no one's brought it up. you didn't ask,
right? Yeah, we just do a fucking open casting call. Like, who's listening? Who's out there?
Some famous movie stars like, oh shit, I forgot. I could have slid these guys like $5,000.
Oh fuck, I forgot I'm famous. But that about wraps it up for this week's Going Off. So until next week, for the podcast, I'm Muse.
And I'm Rap Critic, and every record label sucks dick. Every record label sucks dick.